Hello everyone, I'm the Enforcer, and welcome to the breaking news. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and support us on Patreon, link in the description below. Today's breaking news is that Ukrainian drone forces have successfully been able to strike and destroy the Rostov vessel refueling site within the area of the city of Azov. We were able to get information of this today as we saw that fires were raging at the fuel depot in video and picture evidence in two separate clips. This first one shows the fire as day broke. The attack actually occurred at night, and the original fire erupted during that time in the middle of the pitch blackness. We were able to see, however, that the fire is raging significantly and is once again showing us that Ukrainian drone strikes are able to reach anywhere and everywhere in the Russian Federation, and they are causing significant damage, not only to the Russian army, but also to Russian logistical efforts. Our second clip also shows the fire as it had erupted in the middle of the night right here. We see the fire continuing to rage. Once again, a very serious fire, and from what we understand, the implications behind this actual attack are a lot larger than would be anticipated with a usual oil depot attack. The reason why this one is so more serious than others is that this specific fuel depot is right here. It is these 6 fuel silos, or 6 fuel depots that we're looking at, that are connected by a large series of pipes to this area right around here. This little terminal is the refueling terminal for the port of Rostov-on-Don. It is the only refueling terminal in the entirety of this area of southern Russia, and by the Ukrainians knocking it out, they are ensuring that all Russian vessels coming in and out of the area are no longer able to refuel until the damages have been repaired, and the fuel terminal is able to once again be running at optimal conditions. We saw that the Ukrainians also conducted a similar action at the port of Novorossiysk a couple of months ago on the larger fuel depot, which we can see right here, which is also connected by a large series of pipes to a refueling pier where vessels in the area could be refueled and then continue on their voyages. It seems as though that this is a larger part of a Ukrainian strategy to deprive Russian maritime shipping of any kind of usable fuel within the area of the Black Sea, pretty much bringing Russian shipping, particularly within southern Russia, to a complete stop, as vessels will not be making their ports of call inside of the Russian Federation due to a fear of not being able to refuel, since the fuel depots have been knocked out or pretty much completely destroyed at this point. This is an incredibly severe action and is once again showing us that the Ukrainians are trying everything possible to interdict or stop the Russian refueling efforts if they can make it a reality, and it's becoming a larger reality as the war keeps passing. We can also see satellite proof right here of the fire and damage that was caused, and it appears that the fire has hit the top 2 fuel silos to the left side of the screen, trying to get, I guess, closest to the pipes, possibly. We can see that the pipes, of course, connect to every single one of the silos, but this will be causing some damage that will have to be repaired over several days, if not several weeks, depending on how serious the fire is actually burned and how much damage was actually caused. Meanwhile, we also got very good news from the area of the Vovchansk offensive, hearing that the Ukrainian forces are beginning to enter the village of Hlyboke in even larger numbers and are beginning to clear out the Russians and push them back. This is, of course, very good news, once again showing us that the Ukrainian counteroffensive is moving forward and it is planning on retaking ground from the Russian Federation. If we are to expect that this counteroffensive action continues on, we will expect that the Ukrainians will most likely be attacking Vovchansk next and attempting to retake it, as it would allow them a formidable control over the fields spanning from Hlyboke and Vovchansk to the area of Polina and Strelecha, which is right along the border area. Not only that, but we also got to hear that within the area of Vovchansk, Russian forces are once again dealing with a very difficult frontline situation, and it does appear that an entire other battalion may be jeopardized within the city of Vovchansk, although information about that has been very sporadic and very iffy at times. However, one thing that is clear is that the Russians are desperate for further support, and the Russians do need further support to continue on this war effort in any way, shape, or form that they can. And this has led Putin to once again visiting North Korea. This is a historic visit, one of the first that has happened in years, and we were able to see that the North Koreans have truly pulled out the red carpet for the arrival of Putin. We can actually see that they're putting up state portraits of Putin along with flags of the Russian Federation and North Korea And we can also see that they're putting up signs at the top of the building in Korean and also Russian as well. We can then see in this picture as well that they are setting up a main stage, most likely for Kim Jong-un and Putin to make a public statement or a public address. And we can see that once again they're putting up another state portrait of Putin and Kim Jong-un. Once again, trying to clearly unify the two, at least symbolically, in this state visit that's going to be happening. We can also see here more preparations that are being made. And then in this next clip, we can once again see in the center area of Pyongyang more preparations. Some people may be wondering where that is specifically in Pyongyang, and it is actually the dead center of Pyongyang. There isn't really a lot of ceremonial areas within the city of Pyongyang, to be entirely honest, but the building that they were at in that video is right here. They're setting up the reception area here, and the square that they were looking at was out here in this larger area. There is also a tram line that runs, I believe, right here, and you can actually see one of the trolley buses, and that was the trolley bus that we just saw in the clip. But this is where most of the festivities will be happening for the Russian Federation and the North Korean meeting in between Kim Jong-un and Putin, and it does show that once again the Russians are having to desperately vie, even with minor powers, pretty much insignificant powers, like North Korea, to try and get any kind of support that would help them out in this current war effort. Meanwhile, while we're speaking about the areas of East Asia, or more so Asia in particular, it does appear that tensions are still high in between China and Taiwan, as we saw that a Type 94 submarine surfaced today east of the median line, meaning that this is technically more towards the Taiwanese side than anything, and we were able to see a picture of this Type 94 submarine right here. These are nuclear-powered ballistic missile submarines capable of carrying nuclear warheads a considerable distance away from the Chinese mainland. According to the information that we have, these pictures were taken from a Taiwanese fishing vessel near to the area of Pinggu Island, meaning that this was wildly close to Taiwanese land, because we can actually see a little bit of an island there in the right side of the picture. And to show y'all where Pinggu County is, this is Pinggu County, meaning that the submarine was somewhere near to the area of the shoreline near Pinggu County. According to the information that we have, another People's Liberation Army Navy vessel arrived in the area, and then the Type 94 and the vessel began to set off back towards mainland China. Here's a closer picture of the Type 94 that was spotted on the eastern side of the median line today. A lot of people have been talking about this as possibly an attempt by the Chinese to conduct covert actions or drop off special forces near to the shoreline using these submarines. We are not entirely sure what this could be. Of course, it is very interesting to see that they are that close to Pinggu County, which we would believe would pose a massive and formidable defensive site for the Taiwanese if a war was to begin, and it is entirely possible that the Chinese may be trying to conduct some sort of covert actions near to Pinggu County, as submarines would most likely be used for a wide variety of special forces operations. Let me know in the comment section down below, what do y'all think that Type 94 submarine was doing this close to Pinggu County? Do y'all think it was simply trying to once again show that it does not recognize the sovereignty or independence of Taiwan, or do you think more so that this was attempting to show maybe that there was a covert action being conducted and the Type 94 submarine was unfortunately caught while trying to conduct a part of that operation? Let me know what y'all think below. Meanwhile, we have heard a major announcement from the Indians, which is something that we did not believe was ever going to happen, as we got a statement today that India is no longer going to be purchasing Russian Federation weaponry. They are now going to be purchasing American infantry fighting vehicles instead. And they plan to replace the more than 2,000 Russian-designed BMP-2s with Stryker APCs. This is unbelievably major, as with weapon shipments comes a lot of reliance on the country that provides those weapons and staying in a diplomatic good favor with them, as they will be able to provide any further replacements, any spare parts, or any technical assistance that would be needed to try and keep these vehicles operational. Considering that the Indians are moving from Russian weaponry to American weaponry is once again showing that the distancing of India from Russia and China is still continuing at a pretty decent speed, and this will once again draw the Indians a lot closer to the United States of America in the future, and of course disrupt heavily the Chinese One Belt One Road program that is attempting to be conducted right now within the Indian Ocean. We hopefully will see that this continues, and in the future, India may actually have a large complement of Western weaponry that is provided to them by the United States and other Western countries instead of by the Chinese and from the Russian Federation, although the Chinese have rarely ever provided any large amounts of weaponry to the Indians in the past, although there are some examples. But moving on from that and all the way across the world and into the area of Florida, we were able to hear that the United States Navy and the United States Department of Defense is continuing to keep an eye on the Russian fleet that is continuing to move through the area of the Florida Strait. We were able to see that a PA Poseidon is being replaced right now by another PA Poseidon, and it does appear that we are keeping a never-ending stream of information and eyeballs onto the small flotilla as they continue to move around in the area. Considering that they're so close to American territorial waters, it seems as though that it is, of course, an American imperative to keep an eye on these vessels and make sure that they're not conducting any hostile actions or conducting any actions to violate the sovereignty of the United States of America or its territorial waters, which is, of course, incredible to see and good to know that the U.S. military is on top of things as far as this Russian flotilla is concerned. But with that, we also got some really interesting news that Italy, a country that has largely been against supporting Ukraine with any kind of physical weaponry, although being pro-Ukrainian, has now said that they are planning on transferring a batch of long-range Storm Shadow missiles to Ukraine. And we believe that this may be happening here in the near future. And when I say that the Italians are not big fans of providing Ukraine with weaponry, that was a little bit of a misstatement. They are not a big fan of providing Ukraine with long-range weaponry. They are more than fans of providing Ukraine with really any kind of weaponry that they'd want, except for weapons that they believe would be used to strike inside the Russian Federation. But of course, with the changing prevailing winds in European thinking, now seeing that a lot of countries are approving the use of their weapons inside of Russian territory, it now appears that the Italians are going to hop on that bandwagon and begin to provide their own long-range weapons to Ukraine, most likely to be used inside the Russian Federation. But with that, that is all of the major breaking news that we have today. I've got to thank all of y'all so much once again for watching, and if y'all have enjoyed, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and support us on Patreon, link in the description below. It makes us incredibly happy to see that folks enjoy this channel enough to subscribe, and we are always here, pretty much 7 days a week, running a short war summaries, unless there's not enough news. Sometimes there isn't just enough news in one day, so we don't run it. But pretty much every single day of the week, we make videos like these, and not only that, you can always count on us being live on air 6 days a week, every single day, but Monday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, covering the past 24 hours of the news of the war in Ukraine in picture and video evidence. And so with that, I thank you all so much once again for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.